You know that feeling, right? You're in the middle of a movie, you're about to check out online, and boom, everything just freezes. It happens to everyone, even the biggest websites out there. So today, we're going to go on a little journey to figure out exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how we can build our digital world to be less, well, fragile, and a lot more like a fortress.
I mean, that's the real question, isn't it? We kind of think of the cloud as this magical place where things just work forever. But the truth is, the cloud is just a bunch of computers in giant buildings somewhere. And you know what? Things break. So the real game isn't preventing things from ever breaking. It's about what you do when they inevitably do.
All right, to really get this, we're going to build our own little app. In theory. Let's just call it our simple digital storefront. This is going to be our main character in this story, and, well, let's just say it's a little naive about how tough the internet can be.
So our little storefront starts out as what's called a single region AWS app. What in the world does that mean? Well, just imagine our entire business, the website, the customer database, the whole shebang is running out of one single building in one city. Super simple, right? It works. But man, is it living dangerously. It has literally all of its eggs in one basket.
Let's pop the hood and see what we're working with. We've got one web server for all our visitors, one database for all our info, and they're both sitting together in what Amazon Web Services calls an availability zone, or an AZ. Just think of an AZ as a single data center. And that data center is in just one geographic region, like, say, the US East Coast. And this right here, this beautiful simplicity, it's also its greatest weakness. Every single piece is a single point of failure. Okay, now for the fun part. Let's put our little storefront to the test. We're going to apply some pressure and see just how fragile this thing really is. Let's see what happens when we throw a few curveballs its way.
We're going to simulate three pretty common disasters. First, we're going to knock out the entire availability zone. Then we'll kick it up a notch and take down the whole region. And finally, we'll see what happens if things just get really, really slow with a latency spike.
Now, to get a sense of the scale here, an availability zone failure, that's like a power outage on a single street. It's definitely bad for the people on that street, but the rest of the city is totally fine. But a region failure, whoa, that's a citywide blackout, a much, much bigger deal.
So, what was the result of our little stress test? You guessed it, complete system failure. It didn't matter if it was the small street-level outage or the massive citywide blackout. Our simple storefront went dark. It just could not handle the heat. The lights are out, the doors are closed, and nobody's shopping.
And this just hammers home the central lesson here. The problem wasn't bad luck, it was the design from the start. By putting everything in one place, one server, one database, one data center, we didn't just risk downtime, we basically guaranteed it was going to happen eventually.
Okay, so our storefront crashed and burned. So what do? Let's rebuild it, but stronger this time. Our first option is to just fortify the home base. We're going to evolve our application, make it way more resilient, but stay right inside the AWS world that we already know. So the upgrades are all about adding backups, right? Instead of one AZ, we're now running out of multiple, separate data centers in the same region. We're going to add a load balancer. Think of it like a traffic cop that sends visitors to whichever server is healthy. And we'll copy our database across those AZs so we always have a live backup. And the result? Now, if one of those AZs goes down, our little street-level power outage, our app doesn't even flinch. It stays online.
Okay, that is a huge improvement. Huge. But there's still a catch. We've spread our risk across a few different buildings in the same city. But what happens if the entire city has a blackout? A full region failure would still knock our entire application offline. We're stronger, for sure, but we're not invincible yet.
And that brings us to the next level of this evolution. If we're really worried about the whole city going dark, well, maybe the answer is to not have all our stores in one city. It's time to expand into new lands, to embrace what's called a multi-cloud strategy.
So what exactly is multi-cloud? Well, instead of just having a few storefronts in one city, like AWS East, we're now going to build a completely identical storefront in a totally different city run by a completely different company, say Google Cloud West. This is the ultimate diversification.
This world, both versions of our app are live all the time. It's called an active-active setup. A global traffic cop sends users to whichever cloud is fastest and healthiest for them, and our data is constantly being copied between them. So, what's the new result? If that entire AWS East region goes down, no big deal. All of our traffic just automatically gets rerouted to Google Cloud, and our customers probably don't even notice anything happen.
So, we've seen two very different paths to get stronger.
We can double down in a single cloud, or we can spread out across multiple clouds. And this leads us to what I call the resilience dilemma. Because here's the secret. There's no single right answer. It is all about trade-offs.
On one hand, the AWS native approach is just simpler. You're deep in one ecosystem, you know the tools, it's less complicated. On the other hand, the multi-cloud approach gives you that ultimate resilience and means you're not locked into a single company. But, and this is a big but, it is way more complex to manage. Now you've got two sets of tools, two billing cycles, two different ways of thinking about problems.
And this table just lays it all out perfectly. As we went from our simple app to the fortified one to the multi-cloud beast, our resilience went from low to medium to high. But look at what else went up right alongside it: the cost and the complexity of running the thing. It's so clear, right? More resilience isn't free. It costs more money, and it takes more expertise to pull off.
And that, right there, is maybe the biggest takeaway from all of this. Trying to build something that is 100% indestructible is crazy expensive and complicated. The real goal is to figure out what you need and then build the right level of resilience for that. I mean, my personal blog doesn't need the same uptime guarantee as a global bank, you know?
So I'll just leave you with this to chew on. When you think about the digital services you use every single day, which model makes more sense? Is it better to build an indestructible fortress heavily defended in just one place? Or is it better to build a nimble, global network that can survive losing any one piece? The answer to that really shapes the future of the internet.